Welcome in the Cinema Nine Podcast. Whether you watch us on YouTube or you listen to us on your favorite podcast platform, it is a pleasure to have you aboard. It's just two of us tonight. It doesn't matter what podcast I do lately, whether it's Is It Safe or this one. I'm getting 2 seconds to air bailouts. And tonight it's Eric. He cannot make it in. He forgot his microphone. Is that the story we're going with, Travis?
That's the truth. I believe him. You know.
That's it is
and
true.
I think he just needed a day off, so he's not going to be joining us today. You are at work still, Michael? Is that what I'm viewing behind you?
There it is, the beautiful front office of my establishment. Well, it's not my establishment.
So do we have to squeeze this episode in between appointments or something?
No, I wait until the appointments are over.
Oh, gotcha. So you're done for the day. You just haven't left work yet.
That is correct. And I packed all my stuff, so make sure I'd be ready to go at the proper time so it wasn't too late. Otherwise, it would have took me another hour to get home. So I did it all for you, buddy.
Hey, I appreciate that. I'm ready for bed, like always. So
I know you are. We could have started a little bit earlier, but whatever. Today's show, we're going to focus on A Scanner Darkly. That'll be the main event for our Does It Hold Up Today, which I selected. 2006 film, directed by Richard Linklater, and we'll get to that shortly. And next week, we're going to have a guest. We haven't had a guest in a while, and I presented to you guys, hey, let's have a guest, and we're going to do that.
And I mean, I feel like you presented, let's start doing guests again, really. Friends, I think we're more interested in friends,
You guys definitely, you made that clear. And he is a friend. So.
Yes, we'll be having good old Chud Pud back on the show.
Chud Pud! His
the
third appearance.
Yep.
The Chud. Yeah, after our friend Brian passed and I was watching his episodes he did with the show, it just reminded me, like, man, I'm so glad we have these, and not that I'm expecting further tragedies. I really am not, but it was just a reminder to, like, it's nice to have our friends on every now and again. There's people who like the show a lot, who actually do care and rate the show first, who enjoy Cinema 9. So we thought, let's get it back in the rotation. We basically took most of the year off on that, I believe.
Yeah, at this point, we've been doing this for several years now, and we can do whatever the fuck we want. So we'll have guests. We won't have guests.
We're finishing our 5th year.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. I mean, we're pretty well committed at this point. So,
We've had our doubts at times, but you're right. This thing chugs along no matter who's available. So.
Yeah. We're keeping it going. We're keeping it going.
Keeping it going.
Yeah.
Is there anything you wanted to bring up before we get to quarantine viewing picks? Anything fun? Anything fun in your life? Hey, it's a podcast chat.
My life is repetitive. It's just work. It's just work. I go to work and I come home and I work on my podcasts, my many podcasts and other stuff, work on other stuff. I'm watching Cheers. I don't know. My life
You're
is
watching
dull.
Cheers. Okay.
Again. Yeah. I've returned to Cheers.
Wow. You don't strike me as a Cheers guy. That's interesting.
Well, I'm a total Cheers guy.
Apparently you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned something new about you after all these years.
After all this time, still learning how to know one another.
Steve told me on Is It Safe last week after we wrapped that he was jumping on for the Gentleman Show. That'll be out someday. I'm sure. Yep.
Steve came on my music podcast 93, 94, and we recorded an episode about my favorite album of all time. So I'm excited.
Wow. Yeah, that must have been a lot of fun.
Happy Week, gentlemen.
It's one of those rare albums, I think, where it's a straight listen through. Not every album is a straight listen through, but that is one that qualifies in my book. Always did.
Yeah, it's almost like one compact thing.
Truly. Yeah. I like a lot of songs and albums, a few songs. I think if I made the list of albums that I would listen to consecutively on every song, it's not really that deep. Maybe it's deeper than I realize. I haven't actually dove in lately, but today's playlist world, it's hard to recall listening to anything in that kind of spirit, but I guess people still do that.
That's all I do. I don't listen to playlists, really. I mean,
really?
I'm an album guy. Yeah, always have been.
Really?
Yeah. I hardly ever listen to playlists. I have like one like alternative playlist, like a bunch of shit from the 80s and 90s I'll throw on every now and then, but overall, like, no, I mean, I listen to, full albums all the time. Always have.
Wow. Alternative rock. Wow. That's pretty.
Well,
wow, another thing I'm learning. I'm learning more.
There's a lot of Bruce Hornsby around here. It's not all alternative rock, but yeah, yeah, beginning to end.
Wow. Okay, that's cool, man. Good for you. I listen to playlists. I rarely ever listen to an album at all. We're on opposite ends there. And that's okay. You know, everyone's allowed to listen to music at their own. Yeah, you're allowed to do that. We don't have any emails today. I really thought we'd get some feedback on Halloween movies, Halloween stuff. Nothing, not a goddamn thing. If you just forgot, or if you had a draft saved and you just didn't send it, cinema9pod@gmail.com. We'll still read it. We'll read anything you guys send to us as long as it's not racist, bigoted, absolutely cruel and homophobic or anything like that. We try to avoid that stuff. But if it's about movies and how much you like them, or that you don't like a film, we're willing to listen to why a film might suck. So.
We highlighted all of the nose movies we could think of, nose-centric films. I mean, there's other body parts. You know, if you got a good ear movie, you know, besides Reservoir Dogs, because that's the obvious one. Give us a good ear movie. You know. Give us a good what's a good finger movie? I don't know. I could get weird quick. Yeah.
Oh, there's no fingers really involved. It's all a lie.
I mean, everyone in the movie has fingers.
That's true, but then that covers like every movie.
That covers every single movie.
Too broad.
That puts you know, My Dinner with Andre right there with
foot fingers. Movies. My Left Foot. There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's so many body parts. Email us about the some of the body parts. We don't want to hear about all your body parts.
Armpit movies. All right, let's get to quarantine viewing picks. And what have you been watching lately, Mr. Travis Roy?
Well, to begin with, I'd like to start with The Penguin. You know, that had its final episode, or you know, of its first season potentially. I don't know if they've committed to having a second season of this or not. It's been quite the phenomenon. It's done very, very well. You know, it's highly ranked on IMDb. The reviews are big. You know, the viewership is big. And I've been kind of two minds about it the whole time. Did you watch it?
No, I have not seen it yet. Nope.
Well, you know, I love the Batman. And I was pretty stoked about this show. And I feel like, I mean, on one hand, Colin Farrell is amazing in this as he was in the Batman. Like he's better in this. I mean, his acting is off the fucking charts in this. He's incredible in it. He's so good. On the other hand, there are times where I really am reminded of what I'm looking at, which is a man in a fat suit with half a mask on. I mean, like there are times where I'm like hyper aware of that fact. I felt like it was a little long. You know, 8 episodes may have been longer than it needed. I'm here for the Penguin. I'm getting the whole Falcone backstory. You know, I'm like, I don't know that I care about all this shit. There's a lot going on here. But by the end of it, the last 2 episodes, I was really on board. They were really strong episodes of television, really good stuff. So, I mean, I felt like some of it was a slog, but overall, I mean, the reviews are justified. It is an awesome show. It is really good. I don't know if it needed to be as long as it did. I don't know what the fuck Batman's doing when all this is going on. Taking a fucking spa week. I don't know. But it's certainly good. And I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody who watches it seems to rate it well, and it's got a lot of buzz. I even may have had a minor spoiler on the last episode on Reddit. I didn't want it to happen. It just happened. So
yeah. Well, it's hard to avoid them in this .com crazy era.
I usually do. I like to pride myself on avoiding spoilers online and going many months without seeing things and still being kept in the dark. But I just ran into something. It was just a screenshot, but whatever. It's not the end of the world. It's already kind of know the truth about it, so it's not a secret. The show is still a mystery to me. But you know, these streaming shows, dude, you know this. They always pack in like an episode or 2 that's filler. So I'm not surprised to hear you say maybe it's a little long.
It just didn't need to be 8 episodes. I don't know that it was movie length either. You know, maybe like a 4-episode miniseries or something. It just, I don't know. I mean, the Batman's a 3-hour movie. You could have made a 3-hour movie of this and put it straight on Max if you really didn't want to give it a theatrical run. I mean, I know a lot of people would think I'm crazy because, I mean, people are loving this movie or this show. I seem to be on the lower end of liking it. I like it, just not as much as, not with the same fervor that a lot of other people seem to.
Gotta watch out for that fervor.
Fervor. Other than that, I watched mostly stuff I'd seen before. You know, revisited Deadpool and Wolverine. I hadn't seen that since theaters. And revisited Couples Retreat from 2009. You know,
Oh.
everyone loves, or at least, you know, a lot of guys in our generation love the classic combo of Jon Favreau and Vince Vaughn. There's a reason why no one really talks about or revisits Couples Retreat. Just kind of there.
Oh, come on. I love Couples Retreat.
Do you?
I don't know if I love it, but I watch it a lot. I do watch it a lot.
Broke down really
It's
quick.
a classic video game movie, I guess. Hey, yeah, I'll just throw this on. I'm playing video games.
That, you know, that was exactly it. I threw it on while I was doing other shit. I was doing certification stuff for work, and I was like, I very deliberately just kind of wanted something on. I'm like, well, this looks like a nice piece of shit. So, and I think that's probably right. No, I have to go on Dirty Work kind of late at night, and I watched the whole thing. I had not seen Dirty Work since I was a kid, since it was new. And I know you're a fan, and I believe Eric's a fan. Lots of people are a big fan. I didn't care that much for it back then. I didn't care that much for it the other night. I mean, like, Norm Macdonald was a lot of things, but a leading man he was not. Artie Lang, way too much time spent with Artie Lang. He's good for a cameo. We don't need him in a second role. I don't know, man. I just didn't laugh like at all. And I remember not really laughing back in the day either. I'm just like,
that's shocking.
Not for me,
man.
I
think it's very funny. I think it's a very funny film. I do. So.
I'm glad you enjoy it. And I think that's partly why I revisit it, because I know you hold it in high esteem, and I'd always kind of be like, and I was kind of wanting something kind of fun and dumb at the end of the night, but I'm like, dead hooker jokes. This is so fucking 90s shit. Like,
sure it is. Yeah.
Maybe if I had that nostalgia factor going on where I watched it repeatedly instead of just a one or two times, you know.
I think me and Steve watched it a lot. Yeah. So we just became. I mean, Norm Macdonald's funny, and I think Jack Warden's funny in that movie. It's stupid jokes. It's a stupid movie. It's supposed to be.
Yeah. I mean, it has its moments. I like Chevy Chase in it. His stuff was funny.
He is funny in that movie, actually. It's one of his last times maybe he was ever funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's not completely without value. There's a reason why I didn't see it for a long time, I guess. I only watched one new movie. Channing Tatum and Zoe Kravitz were together for years, and they made like Blink Twice. They were like working on making the movie Blink Twice like that whole time, and then it came out and it flopped and they broke up, which is, I don't know, kind of funny. But very. I'd be lying if I didn't say the messaging was pretty fucking heavy-handed here. But at the same time, I liked the messaging, and I liked the delivery. You know, the premise, which is in the previews and stuff, so it's not like a big giveaway here, but the premise of a super rich tech bro bringing people back to his private island to do whatever the fuck he wants to them, that's not exactly far-fetched.
We just did that.
Well, yeah. I mean, wait, with the Menu, or?
Okay, that's another one. But yeah, that one. Or I was also thinking about the second Knives Out to a certain extent.
Well, that was the year of the rich guy islands, and that probably was
it was like Triangle of Sadness. There was a lot of that. Yeah.
So Blink Twice was a couple years late, but it's a different take on it though, because it's a little bit more of like a thriller, not quite horror movie, but like thriller type movie. So it's a little bit more straightforward in that respect.
I like those movies, though.
I liked it.
I like those type of movies.
Yeah, and I like seeing Channing Tatum as a villain. I like that, too. I thought he did pretty good.
You know, I had spoiler alert for anybody who's not heavily involved in the MCU in 3, 2, 1. I had no idea. I guess I'd lost track of time, or I never got caught up in the fact that Channing Tatum was going to be Gambit and had his own movie set up. I never knew that. When I saw Deadpool,
years of talk. Yeah, I
missed all that truly. And so when I see him in Deadpool with the fucking cowl on, I'm like, oh, this is sweet as fuck. Look at this. It's finally Gambit's like a personal favorite of mine. Always was. Yeah, and he doesn't get a lot of run in the movie world. We had the 2009.
Tyler Sheridan one or whatever it was. Taylor.
Tyler Couchner or whatever. That guy from Friday Night Lights. Taylor Crutch. Yeah, that guy. I like him in Friday Night Lights, a TV show. He's great as John Regan's Texas Forever. But his Gambit, it was a shitty movie too, so I don't really blame him as much.
But supposedly Marvel is very interested in the big reaction people had to Channing Tatum as Gambit, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Might not be over. We'll see.
Does that guy age?
Channing Tatum? Well,
He doesn't seem like it.
I mean, he's a rich, young Hollywood hunk.
But he's not so young anymore, though. How old do you think he is? Let's play a quick game.
He's
How old
younger
is
than
Channing
us.
Tatum?
I'm gonna say he's 40 years old, maybe 41.
Oh, okay. So
40.
Not that younger than us. A couple years younger than us.
Yeah, I'm gonna say he's a handful of years younger than us.
I'm gonna say I'll just be a little higher. I'll say he's 44, and he was born in the year. Should that be obvious? Like right on the top? You already got it?
No, that's my guess.
Oh, April 26, 1980. He is our age.
He's exactly our age. Look at that. Well, he has aged very well, that motherfucker.
He certainly has, that motherfucker.
So that's what I watched. What about you, man?
Well, I finally saw The Marvels. I mean, God damn it, man. What a fucking nightmare this movie is. Come on, man. I mean, what? Come on.
I liked it.
All right, there's moments. There's a few moments, but this is the changing of the characters thing. Like their powers get twisted up. I get it. But I didn't enjoy that part of the movie either. I guess it was like funny for a moment, or it lost its novelty, wore off to me quickly. It's just a mess in a lot of ways because of what happened, I guess, too. I'm looking at the Marvels through the lens of the MCU, and, with the whole disaster of Kang falling apart, right? And like the mess that happened there, it hurts the movie a little bit more too, because I didn't see it when it came out. I saw it a year later. I love Carol Danvers, and I love Brie Larson as Carol Danvers. I loved her with the short hair.
You loved the first Captain Marvel, I know.
I did. Yeah. I loved Monica Rambeau's character. I loved WandaVision. And I liked Ms. Marvel.
But you never watched the TV show Ms. Marvel, did you?
No, I did. I liked Ms. Marvel.
Okay.
I did see that. Yeah. It was all right. It was solid. I wasn't like
it.
This sucks. It was true to the game.
Yeah, you came in there as accepting and as open as a fan could be. And if that's how you feel about it, that's how you feel about it.
It had moments where you're like, this is really happening. Like the memories scene, that was crazy, man. That was like, it was wild. I know there was cats hurting cats, blah, blah, blah.
That's great. Yeah, it's fun. But to me, the singing planet was the only thing. Like, what the fuck is this?
It was impossible to not say what the fuck. It was. You're right. But it was, I like that they're getting goofy with it. I know that this Nia Nacosta, the director, she didn't have the easiest time either, because we know about the reshoots and all the bullshit that went on with this movie as well behind the scenes, which isn't fair to her.
Yeah.
I'll watch it again, maybe see if I like it a little bit more. I don't hate it. I just thought it was like what's its place here and what's going on? And which is a fair question to ask kind of overall with Marvel right now. But I think after watching Deadpool Wolverine, I feel much more excited. So.
I think that the main thing that it's doing is, leveling up Monica Rambeau some, like, letting us be more aware of her, and then also bringing Miss Marvel out of the TV land and into like the proper MCU films and like getting them more, because I think that the younger people are going to be like the future of the MCU pretty soon here.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's already happening. Yeah, it's already happening. So
yeah, I forgot. It's so much has happened that in 2021 for Disney Plus TV with the Hawkeye show and
Kate Bishop and White Widow, whatever.
It's like, I remember her. That seemed like a lifetime ago, but it was a couple of years ago.
It really wasn't that long ago.
I know, it's weird. It's very strange. Like, I loved Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now we got the new Captain America coming out in February. So
yeah, I'm excited.
Harrison Ford's involved. That's fun. So we'll see.
We'll see.
I'm optimistic still. I thought it was a rough stretch here. Everyone admits it. Everyone agrees. Okay, it wasn't as great a run lately as we could have hoped for, but I'm optimistic. Yeah.
I love that Eric's gone and we're immediately like, oh, we could talk MCU now.
yeah. So, but I saw the Marvels. There you go. Do with that as you will. I watched a movie that I really, really loved, and I'd never heard of it. And I also wanted to say this. I am a big, and I didn't know this about myself. I've never made this proclamation. I'm a big Andrew Garfield fan. I love Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, he's
like, I love him. He's so good. And
lock it in.
He's like a Yeah, okay. He's like a bleeding heart socialist too. So I love that. Like in his real life, he's not kidding. So I watched this movie called 99 Homes. Have you
Oh,
seen
it's
this?
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
Michael
that
Shannon?
director. Yeah, Michael Shannon and him. That's a good movie. Yeah, I think I talked about it when I watched it back in the day, but it's been, it was a few years ago.
Oh, it's just so up my. It's directed by Ramin Barani.
Yeah, and he's done something else that I think he did White Tiger, and I think that's why I ended up going back and watching it.
He did, yeah, the White Tiger in
Yeah, that
2021.
was fucking great. So I was like, this is great. What else has this guy done? Michael Shannon and Andrew Garfield. I'm definitely going to watch this. And it was good. Yeah, I like 99 Homes.
Oh man, it's just like so up my alley. I just ate it up. I loved it. It's a painful, awful story. But it's not like a fun watch. I want to be clear to everybody on that. But Laura Dern too, mixing in there. You get a little bit of Clancy Brown just in the background, a little bit. It's fun. It's a great movie. I love 99 Homes. I strongly recommend it if you've not seen it. I don't know where it might be streaming or whatever, but I'm sure it's out there because it only came out 10 years ago.
Underlooked movie is about like the 2008 housing crisis stuff. Like there's some of those movies that we're well aware of, but that one doesn't get in the conversation like it should.
Yeah. Criminally, actually. You're right. I'm glad you said it like that because you should all see this movie, 99 Homes. If you've not seen it, it's intense. It's well done from all aspects. It's complicated. It's about real life, but it's also about decisions that you'd have to make in real life and about how capitalism eats people alive so that the next person can eat. It's fucking great, man. So good.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
And then, I wanted to mention, so apparently they're making a new The Naked Gun movie, which blows my mind.
With Liam Neeson.
Yeah, it just blows my mind that this is going to happen. I think
we talked about it on the show before, didn't we?
Well, if we have, it's been a minute and I just didn't remember, but I had my mind re-updated on this like last week and I was stunned. I'm like, wow, is this really happening? And then there's a Roger Rabbit 2 when Eric said something about he was looking into Who Framed Roger Rabbit 2. I'm like, what, is this really going to happen?
All right, that's news to me.
I know. There's not much on there about it on IMDb other than, maybe some like a name, but there's no actors connected to it. So I don't know if it's bullshit or not. But
please, yeah, that's... I don't know.
We don't need to go there and do it.
No one needs that. We're good.
Bob Hoskins, just let him rest in peace. Come on.
Exactly. The only thing that we would want back really is Bob Hoskins, not even Roger Rabbit, to be honest. I mean, it wouldn't be the same without him, but like it's not gonna be the same without Bob Hoskins either. So
true. I revisited Tar from 2022, which was a big Academy Award. Mm-hmm. I don't know if she actually won for that or not, Kate Blanchett, but she should.
I believe she won Best Actress, didn't she?
I would assume you're right because she crushed it. She was incredible. I saw it before when it came out.
Did.
Yeah. She was. I watched it again 2 years later. It's fun to go back when like you do the Oscar runs during the Oscar season, and then 2 years, 3 years later, you're like, oh yeah, let's go back now outside of that context. This movie holds up. It's incredible, and her performance is badass, and the movie continues to be as poignant as it will remain so probably for decades.
All right.
So. Yeah, so there you go. There's some good stuff. Some other things I watched, but I'm going to have to bring them to the table, so I can't reveal them. Sorry.
Secret movies.
Secrets.
Mike's secret movies.
Mike's secret movies, yeah. Hey, you go to our YouTube page, you got Mike's memorable movie moments. You can watch some of my favorite clips on a playlist. I haven't added to it like a year, but I did do like 10 of them. There's 10 of them on there, so it's fun. And also, thanks for the intense opening. Wow, we got a lot of feedback and watches on the Perfume video episode. So thanks for those of you that love that shit. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesus. All right, so let's get into it now. A Scanner Darkly. Focus in. 2006. Richard Linklater, Keanu Reeves, Winona Ryder, Woody Harrelson, Robert Downey Jr., Rory Cochrane.
And then you get to Rory Cochrane and you're like, oh, hey, Rory. I know
he's got to be in a Linklater movie. I love Rory. Yeah, he's great in this movie.
He's great. I mean, but it is like these huge names, Rory Cochrane, and that's it.
Yeah, he's holding it down with some legends of the screen, arguably. Not arguably, really. But yeah, part. It's also a Philip K. Dick novel, short story.
Yeah, story of some kind. Anyway,
are you like a big Philip K. Dick guy?
No, I only one I ever read was Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep.
Okay.
I like his movies. I mean, I like every Philip K. Dick movie that I'd seen.
So, until now, boy!
No, I've seen this before.
I know, but does it hold up now? We're going to find out. It was a teaser. There you go. Yeah. Secrets. Okay, so I picked this movie. This was a movie that I rented as part of my Blockbuster online era back in the day. It just was in the queue, and when I watched it, it really had an impact on me. Like, what is this shit? This is wild. And I watched it many times, but I didn't have a copy of it, and I hadn't found it anywhere for a long, long time. So I thought it was an interesting movie. Also, it was before I got addicted to opioids, so now I have the post-addiction experience, too, to kind of look through it at as well, which I find to be interesting. We'll discuss that. But, yeah, I hadn't seen it in a long time. I thought it was a fascinating film with a lot of great people. The rotoscope shit didn't bother me too much back then. Does it bother me more now? I don't know. We'll find out.
Oh.
More secrets.
Yeah. Tantalizing little breadcrumbs. We're going to tell you this thing that we think about this thing we're talking about in about 5 minutes.
I'm doing the Eric, actually. When I was in Arizona, I listened to a lot of our episodes while I was on the plane, old episodes.
Okay.
And the thing Eric always used to do, we'll get to that later. I'd like to bring something up now, but let's get to it later.
We're 50 minutes into the episode. We're going to get to that later. Gotta love it. I saw this movie because of you. You talked it up a ton, and so did our friend Dave Horning, I believe, and maybe some other friends too. But I remember you and Dave in particular telling me for a while to watch this movie. So finally, I'm like, okay. So I rented it, or streamed it. I don't really remember the circumstances, but it is one that I watched and went, oh, that's pretty good. But I never watched it again until last night.
Fair enough. Yeah. How about the rating on this bastard on IMDb? We always guess the rating.
I'm gonna say 6.6. No, that's too low. That's too low. 6.9.
Okay.
6.9.
Okay. Well, we mentioned the cast, of course, the director. I mean, it's covered. You got Philip K. Dick does the story. I mean, everybody has a name on this thing. I'm gonna say it's like a 7.1. And dead on 7.0. It's a rock solid 7.0.
Right between us. There you go.
Right. 119,000 reviews. That's a solid amount. Not a huge, but solid. Over at Rotten Tomatoes, 68% on the thermometer. The critics, not digging it. So, I mean, they don't hate it, but I thought the critics might like it more than the audience. But
well, this 74%. Is one that, I don't really feel like it made a huge splash when it came out. I had one or two friends telling me about it, but it's not one that you really hear as much about as you would think, given the cast, given the pedigree of the storyteller.
Well, you think about this is 2006, and obviously Downey Jr. is on the comeback trail. Like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is the year before, and he's trying to get back in the good graces. Iron Man's 2 years out still.
Yeah, that's when things really shift for him. I'd say Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and maybe this to a lesser extent, but he wasn't still quite back on the map. The Singing Detective was around the same time, so he was starting to do some stuff that was pretty good, but I don't know that he was on everyone's radar again. Having Robert Downey Jr. in your movie in 2006 isn't as big as a deal as it would be now. Let's put it that way.
Oh, obviously, yeah, absolutely, 100% correct on that. As far as critical review, here we go. We don't hear from Slate that often. So let's hear from Dana Stevens from Slate.
Hey, Dana.
Back on September 23rd, 2006. She said, as the scanner darkly proves, keanu is the coolness. Passive, blankness, leaden line delivery and all. Let's hear it for the vague blur.
That was the line I was going to use for the end of the episode. Damn it.
Oh, that's a good one. Sorry, buddy.
It's part of the line of the movie, right? Let's hear it for the vague blur.
There's a couple others there. I think I forgot them now, so I'm going to blow it. But
no, I guess we've already blown our load on that one. Oh, well.
Party's over. Where's some of the classics, the heavy hitters here? Come on now. Where you been at all my life? Wow, a lot of random different names for this one. Okay. Interesting.
That's just good. I'm working.
Yeah, I'm looking. I'm hoping. How about Sean Levy of the Oregonian?
For Desson Thompson.
Linklater and Dick at their best are about as good as it gets. If their fusion didn't finally create gold, riches are still to be found in it. Thanks, Sean Levy of the Oregonian.
All right.
I don't know what that means.
You're
I don't
saying
care.
words.
Oh, well, let's get the Texas perspective since Linklater's from Texas.
Yeah, okay.
Scott.
Am I having trouble or are you having trouble? You are muted, friend.
Why would that ever happen? Why would I be muted?
I don't know.
Sorry about that. I know what happened.
Okay.
My hand was up against. It's stupid.
Magic
It's
button.
my fault.
That's the
My
button.
fault. My fault. So Scott Van Doviak of the Fort Worth Star Telegram said, "Food for thought. That's also a treat for the senses." That's nice. Hey, here we go.
You got Dustin Thompson?
100% Dustin Thompson
right.
original from July 13th, 2006, almost 20 years ago.
Let it be brief and poignant.
The characters look as though they have been flattened inside a glass slide, a perfect visual reflection of their political and psychological binds.
It's very wordy for him.
Yeah, long one.
At least as far as his blurbs go. Their politics, it's interesting. I mean, their politics certainly feature into the film, but I don't feel like they're that big a deal. Barris's more than anyone's, I guess, but
Yeah, and the only one, really.
right?
Maybe. Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that.
Okay.
You get a lot of gibberish, of course.
Usually I'm right there with you, Dustin, but the more you say, the more you lost me on that one.
Don't tell anybody.
What do you got?
How about Dave Hiltbrand from the Philadelphia Inquirer? This is a splat. A very talky and curiously uninvolving film. Very talky, that is true. We just said that.
It's very talky. There's a lot of talking.
Sure is. Is that fun?
There's a lot of scenes that are like, if they cut this out of the movie, would it matter? If they added 5 more just like it, would it change anything?
Oh, man. Okay. Let me give you one more splat from Liam Lacey of the Globe and Mail. Richard Linklater's squiggly new film, well, it's not squiggle vision like Dr. Katz, A Scanner Darkly, is an ambitious attempt to find the right visual style to render the experience of drug addiction and the paranoid vision of novelist Philip K. Dick into a distinctive visual form. So he says it's an ambitious attempt, but he doesn't really shit on it. I don't know. Whatever. So, Anyways, you get the kind of ending of the film where Philip K. Dick's tribute to like people he had lost from drug addiction or through various forms of that, which is that it kind of grounds the movie a little bit when you see that at the end. Let's get Roger Ebert. Sorry, last one we'll do here. The movie probably involves more dialogue and less action than some people will expect. It's about the nature of a life where you can never be sure what or who is real. Nice job, Roger.
Drug-induced paranoia.
Yeah. So, do you want to try Substance D?
I'm going to take a pass on that.
It doesn't seem that cool. I mean,
No
these
one
guys are
made
deep in
you get
addiction,
addicted.
so
No one made
Yeah.
you get addicted. We're going to have to fine you for that. But it was my job to get addicted.
wasn't I undercover to do that? It doesn't seem like a fun drug, and I feel like it's not fair to certain drug use, which is a lot of fun, at least in the beginning. And maybe the movie's point is once you're deep in addiction, it fucking sucks. So
Yeah, and that's
they
that
skip the fun part.
conversation. That's that conversation that right in the beginning that Barris and Freck have, Downey Jr.'s character and Rory Cochran's character, where they talk about like, okay, you've gotten through the fun opening, falling in love stage of getting addicted. Now you're like in the shit. Now you're in the, like you're imagining bugs in your hair and in your dog his hair and all that kind of stuff. That's
Not a
where
fun
you're at.
opening, I will say that.
And it's not just Substance D that seems unpleasant. I mean, apparently, if you do too much cocaine, no one can touch you.
I do a lot of cocaine. It's so funny. That's funny to me. It made me laugh when I watched it this time.
It's like, I don't really see the correlation here. Like, you can't be touched because of cocaine. All right.
I can't be touched because I do a lot of cocaine. Okay. Okay, fine, Winona. We understand. Well, it turns out that Winona and what's his face? Oh, Christ. What's his
Bob
character's
Arthur.
name? Thank you, Bob. I hate that last name. It's not fun to pronounce.
Well,
it doesn't
also
flow
Bob.
at all.
Like, oh, Bob. No one looks like Keanu Reeves and his name Bob.
Yeah, you're right about that too.
And
Bob
maybe
Arthur.
Right.
Rob Arthur, Robbie, Ronald. They're both in the fun suits and they work together, but they didn't know it.
Shock, big shock. No, the whole time I'm like, oh, that's clearly, I'd seen this once before, but still I didn't remember. I'm like this Hank guy is way too short. That is clearly going to be Donna.
Great voice. Do we get a name on some great voices there? Like, that voice is great. Both those scramble suit voices are fantastic.
Yeah, they're fun. And the scramble suits themselves are fun. And I think that the scramble suits are pretty much the main reason we're getting this in this rotoscope thing, because really, there's not a ton of other special effects that couldn't have been accomplished. There's, the cockroach scene and stuff, but really, it's like I think it's mostly because of these suits.
I always thought that too. That was always the point. Like, okay, obviously, the only reason they're doing this is because scramble suits are impossible to properly do in CGI or whatever at the time, or it was too expensive, right. And they just wanted to do it through. And by the way, it's incredibly time-consuming to rotoscope. It took them 18 months to do that part of it after they filmed the movie in like no time at all.
And other than the scramble suits, is the rotoscoping necessary here at all?
No.
It's not at all, right?
No, it's not.
The whole time I'm watching the movie, I'm like, would it be more or less interesting without the rotoscoping? If the rotoscoping was gone, would I still be as interested? I guess. What's
interesting is that Downey Jr. does Iron Man 2 years later, and part of the Iron Man feature is that you see him inside a suit, right? Yeah. You get a ton of them. I mean, that's like, it becomes part of the iconic thing. Yeah. And that worked fine in all the movies he's in. It's fine. I got no beef with that. It worked out okay. Now, the Iron Man suit may not have been as complicated as the scramble suits on the exterior, but I just thought of that while I was watching this. Like, oh, okay, well, they ended up doing this a couple years later and many times after that.
Well, and the funding for these two movies was probably grossly different.
Yeah. I mean, that's obvious. I feel like there was commercials around this time, like rotoscoping had like a run all of a sudden. I remember those stupid ass commercials for some shit organization I don't care about that was doing rotoscoping commercials. Like, hey, this is cool, rotoscoping. Like, no, it's not that cool. I don't.
It's distracting. It makes me feel like I'm watching the cartoon, but I recognize who everyone is. Like, I forgot that Rory Cochrane was in this movie, but as soon as the movie starts, I'm like, oh yeah, there's Rory Cochrane. That's clearly him. Like, I can tell.
Yeah, it's obvious. So yeah, I agree with you. Other than, I had the exact thought, and I wonder if others of you out there who watch this movie or like this movie have the similar thought to us, where rotoscoping was pretty much just because of those scramble suits. So, but the movie still has a lot of commentary about drug use. I love the opening where Arthur's giving that talk and he's supposed to, it's so prescient too. It's got the live button, like he's being fed what to say and he can go live or on and not go live for a minute while he's in the suit, which is just seems so doable now outside of the scramble suit itself. And it seemed poignant.
Yeah, and some of that I guess does get into the politics that old Destin was talking about. This reference is made that they're at war with the countries that supply substance D. That 25% of the population has become addicted to this substance. That stuff's pretty interesting, and as concepts.
Yeah, but that's generally the extent of it. Other than when Bob comes out on the other side and goes out to New Path, and they're trying to bust these guys on a massive level at a federal level. And they sacrifice Bob Arthur for the greater good to bust these guys, which,
that's the big twist.
Yeah, I'm kind of fine with that, actually, because like if these guys are ultimate corporate scumbags hiding under the guise of they're the ones helping everyone, then good. Yeah, let's sacrifice somebody to get somebody in there and fucking bust these assholes. I'm for it.
Yeah, so that didn't surprise me either, that New Path ended up being the ones behind Substance D, but I took that to be, I'm not sure when Philip K. Dick died. Do you know?
Or when this was written? Find that out. Oh, that's even more fun, right?
Because it makes me think about the crack epidemic,
1977, a little bit before that.
Before
Coke was hot.
Coke was hot.
Yeah.
Quaaludes. Probably some friends were doing
time.
Quaaludes.
Big time balloon run.
Yeah, there's a lot to be unpacked there. I mean, in some ways, I feel like there's so much meat on the bone that they left. Because we talk about this stuff, and I can imagine like a mini series or an extended series about like this whole world and like trying to conquer Substance D and trying to get into New Way and all that stuff. There's all this really interesting stuff, but most of it is like Hyons bickering on a couch,
or in a car,
or in a car, or in a driveway.
Car.
Yeah, there's like there's like these really interesting things happening, but that's like the background. Most of what we're getting are these drugged up interactions.
Yep, you're right about that. That's what this movie ends up focusing on the most, it seems, with the Arthur being the main focus of this guy he's not sure how deep in it he is. And I was going to ask you about these scenes we get. We get multiple scenes where he's being tested by the psychologists or the doctors or the experts. Yeah, whatever the fuck they are, and what's real and what's not real, which I get is part of the concept here of like you start to lose Substance D. You start to not understand shapes anymore. Sheep versus dog. Winona Ryder's naked body versus some blonde woman's naked body.
But then that gets confirmed for him that on the video that they actually did change, which is that's very Philip K. Dick. It's almost like I could see something like that happening in a Cronenberg movie, like where there's something happens and you're like, oh, that changes everything, but it doesn't get explained. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's very interpretive. So like, how much of this is real? How much of this is paranoia? Like he keeps going to work every day and like sitting in there and like look at the station, like watching himself and all that stuff. But at his house, there's also a similar station set up with a bunch of different fucking screens and stuff that he could just be sitting there all day doing it there. We don't really know if any of this is happening. But then at the end we do, because Hank is Donna and he gets sent to New Way. I don't know. It's a little confusing.
New Way Bar took over for New Path?
New Way Bar. New Path, New Way, whatever.
New Way. Yeah, who cares? Yeah. I remember enjoying some of the ramblings. I think Robert Downey Jr. is hilarious in this movie. I really do. But I'm older now, and I think about the big picture here of what's going on with this story. And, this is supposed to be set when Philip K. Dick did it. He wrote it in 1977. It's supposed to be set in 1994 Orange County, right? So instead it goes another 10, 12, the 7 years after where the story takes place. So it's in the 2000s, and it seems like a real place. The scramble suits, I guess we're not there yet, but
nope.
Everything else kind of makes sense to me in terms of the environment and how things look and how people are. But there's so much to not, other than what we get from the Bear Lodge people getting their special talk with Fred.
Yeah.
We don't get enough of anybody representing, like you said, a New Path or any other entity that is anti-drug other than a cop or two, and I'd like to get more of like how they feel about it, where it's at, and how those two worlds collide. Or is it just that obvious that you skip over that part for the story because we already know these people are Christians, if you will, or they're anti-drug, they're parents who want to protect their children versus people who know what drugs really are and are not going to buy into the dare subculture or shit like that.
Well, the cops are involved somehow, right? I mean, like, there's that moment where that plain van pulls up and like a bunch of cops jump out.
Oh yeah, do you see who that was?
That protester guy. Who was that guy?
Oh, well, I got a treat for you.
Who was it?
He was rotoscoped. None other than Alex Jones. Shelf conspiracy theorist.
I knew I recognized that fucking voice. That was Alex Jones.
This is Alex Jones in 2006, who had just done Loose Change, which a lot of people liked, including people who I know hate Alex Jones now. Just saying.
So. I'm so glad I wasn't among that number. I never had to retract and be like, actually, guys, about Alex Jones. Turns out.
Yeah, you're good for you, buddy. That's great news. But yeah, that was him.
back on Robert Downey Jr., I have always been such a big fan of his since I was a kid, since Back to School and shit in Less Than Zero.
Weird Science. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I always loved him. How much I love Home for the Holidays. And so like this was kind of like him, like you said earlier, kind of him coming back. So I was extra on board for anything he was doing in this era. I was renting it. And I've always been annoyed that people like would call him annoying. He's annoying in this movie. I think he's super fucking annoying in this movie.
Wow.
Like, shut up. Like, stop talking. His interactions in the police station, I think, are funny. Like the whole bit, the way that's all delivered, like everything he does there, I'm on board with, and I think it's funny and it's well done. But all of his rants, I'm like, dude, just shut the fuck up. And I know we're supposed to feel that way, okay, the druggie won't shut the fuck up, but man, a little irritating.
It's so funny to hear you say that. Yeah, you're a big time RGJ guy, but he finally annoyed you. Actually, maybe this is what it was like to really hang out with him when he was on drugs. Not hard to believe, in my opinion, actually.
He had a rough go there for a while.
But it's great acting, too, because he is acting. He's not on drugs there, as far as we know. I really don't think he was. He was trying to get his shit together. So
yeah, I think he was clean at that point.
Yeah, I'm almost certain of it. And so good on him that he could go into that, because that might not be easy to do that, to kind of dive into that world. But he did live it a lot, too. So maybe there was part of him, it was second nature, and he felt better about it because he didn't have to take drugs to actually do it, especially Substance D. Although I didn't know that you could extract cocaine from over-the-counter aerosols.
I don't know that you can.
Yeah.
Woody with a wig? Rotoscope wig?
Yes. You nailed it. I didn't even think about that, but I completely agree immediately.
Yeah. It's like this only works because it's rotoscoped. I mean, he wears wigs in other movies, and sometimes they work. It depends on the wig. The Walker, for instance. But of course, he's supposed to be wearing a wig in that movie. So, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot. It's like, yeah, here's what, 4 huge mega actors standing in this room together arguing about fucking how many speeds are on this bike and can we go get more speeds. How does this service the plot? Okay, let's roll with it.
Yeah, I love it more now, and I don't want anybody to die, but I love the whole narration of when Freck is going to kill himself.
Yeah.
It's a great sequence. It's all done through the radio with the narrator, and he's like, oh, wait a minute. And tried to kill himself with pills, and then he just started to freak out, and he's got to get a better bottle of wine. It's just, yes, it's dark humor. I admit that, but come on, if you've lived life and been around, I thought it was thought-provoking and funny all at once.
What do we think of the biblical references? Do we care at all? We get a lot of Corinthians thrown at us at the very end here.
Yeah, I know. What the hell, man? Why?
Why indeed? So we could use the phrase "scanner darkly." I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess that's the one.
We shall, not all of us will sleep in death. It's like, well, what does that mean? It means that some of us will go to heaven. That's what you're talking about. All of a sudden, like, I don't know. I'm not sure what that was about. And maybe that's in the book. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But either way, I was like, it just seemed like, I guess the reason why it kind of bothered me is because it seems like one of those things that's like faux deep. You know what I mean? There's no actual reason why it's there. It's just kind of like, oh, let's throw this biblical reference in there and that'll be heavy.
Yeah. I don't believe, I'd be shocked to find out that Dick was big into Corinthians, unless unless it's something I just don't know. I'm
pretty sure that he was an atheist. If I'm not positive about that, but seems right.
Certainly seems to line up with all the other shit he was into. So
yeah, I'm not his biographer, but
Linklater's a guy who, Richard Linklater. Last week I said the legend Richard Linklater, and then I thought about it. I'm like, was that unfair? Was that too much? What do you think of that? Is he a legend or is he just a very well-respected director?
Richard Linklater is, man, like he's so all over the fucking place with his movies. You know what I mean? Like he is just,
no genres.
Yeah. He defies genre. He he defies, he does all kinds of documentaries and stuff too. Like, this is not the first animated type. Didn't he also do Waking Life? Wasn't that him?
I think you're right. Yeah.
I can't remember that one. It's been a lot longer since I've seen that one. But so like he plays around in all these different sandboxes, and I think the reason why he's legendary is because like he's one of those directors that whether or not I like the movies that he's done, because I've seen most of his stuff but don't love them all, I respect the hell out of him. He takes big swings. He tries different things. He won't let himself get entrenched in one way of creating this same medium of art, and I think that's really respectable.
I think you nailed it. That's exactly why I use the term legendary, because he takes chances and he's not afraid to fail and go in different directions. And he doesn't, he's a guy that can work within the Hollywood system enough if he needs to or wants to, but he's happy just being independent, doing his own thing, and working with Robert Rodriguez or anybody else, Ethan Hawke, and doing the whole trilogy, Before Midnight, all that stuff. And then he does.
Those are great.
He's a part of School of Rock, and then he's this movie, and Boyhood was a massive undertaking too. So I completely agree with you. I just love that he's willing to try anything, and that he's actually able to, go in almost any genre and do fairly well. He doesn't have a lot of disasters, in my opinion, at all.
Oh, and looking at his filmography, I'm like, oh yeah, this is our second Linklater film on the show. He also did Suburbia.
Yeah,
about that.
Personal favorite. Yep.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So he's the kind of guy that can go big or go small, and seems pretty comfortable in either scope.
And this was not a heavy budget, like you said. The rotoscoping took a while, but it wasn't a huge budget. I think it was like 18 millish type deal here, and he got all these guys probably to work for peanuts, I assume, and because they wanted to work with him. And I mean, what else can we say about this film? Ominous score, just kind of hanging around, classic. It's almost like a TV show in that respect.
It's almost like Radiohead in that respect. lots of Radiohead in the score, and then lots of score that's like lots of Radiohead on the soundtrack, and then lots of score that sounds like Radiohead.
Think of that.
There is, at the end, there is this character that's like a handler of Fred's or Bruce's or Bob's or whatever at the New Way, and it turns out he's actually like an undercover cop, and Donna or Audrey or whatever is like lamenting what they've done to him, to Bob, and the guy goes off on this tangent about God and God's will, God's MO, and all this stuff, and I'm like, well, maybe that's what the Corinthian shit is getting at. Like, it's trying to plug in the fact that like people use God and religion to suit their own ends and justify their own pretty horrific things that they might do in the name of justice and righteousness, even when they are just and right. The ending is strong of this movie. I feel like, when he gets down there and he picks the flower, and he's like, a gift for my friends at Thanksgiving. There is that little spark of him still in there that they're hoping for, and he's going to pass that on to this handler guy. So like it's all going the way that they planned, and so it all, we're watching this whole big thing, this whole spiraling out and trying to make sense of it, and then like at the end, sense is made. So that's kind of satisfying.
Yeah, you're right about that. The movie, puts us in a haze a lot. It does an excellent job of almost making you feel like you're involved in the drug haze, and the days are a blur, and all this shit that is confusing. What's real? What's not real? Reality versus perception, and drug induced at that. And then Bob Arthur goes into withdrawal, and he gets dropped off, and it all kind of suddenly like speeds up to an ending though. I feel like all of a sudden he gets dropped off, he's sick, and she feels bad about it, but okay, let's move on from it. And then he's at the new path, and it all jumps forward, and we get the kind of final tying up of it. I do believe, or I do agree with you that it is a satisfying conclusion, but I wouldn't have minded a little bit more time involved in all that stuff that's going on there over the final 10 or 12 minutes, as opposed to the drudgery of painful drug addiction.
Yeah, that's a strong point, given that we're just talking about how there's a lot of wordy, kind of pointless scenes. To have the ending be sped up is not great in terms of pacing.
Wasn't that one of the problems when you have a story like this, whether it's a novel or short story, whatever the source material is, and people want to be faithful to it? This is kind of with Perfume. Perfume, they had to be faithful to it, but how did they turn it into a film that could be done in a way that was entertaining and also faithful to the book, but also made it visually interesting, and the dialogue would not be too shit. All these things you have to consider where you want to make your own thing, but you're kind of sticking to the source material. And that's always the risk with these types of projects.
Yeah, I mean, I'm no filmmaker, but I do think that trying to remain faithful to the book a lot of times can be meaning like faithful in spirit, faithful in theme, not necessarily in like exactly what's happening. Sometimes what works in film does not work in sometimes what works in a book doesn't work on film. And that thought occurred to me while I was watching this. I'm like, I bet the Philip K. Dick story is better.
Well, anything else before we make our final commentary on this film?
Nope, you brought it to the table. Hit me.
I brought it to the table, and I will hit you. There's a lot of badgering and bickering and banter. Badgering, bickering, banter. That's fun alliteration in this film. And you got people so you like to watch them on screen. But they are rotoscopes, so sometimes that might take you out of it. But honestly, the rotoscope didn't really ever take me out of it. I just felt it was unnecessary. But I didn't watch certain scenes and say, oh, this rotoscope is killing me. It wasn't that bad for me in that respect. I don't care about that as much. Again, thought it was only because of the scramble suit. But Richard Linklater has to stick to the source material, which I've never read. I actually, after seeing the movie several times back when it came out, I should have read it at some point, but I did not. And, after experiencing my own drug addiction, then watching this movie through a new lens where I didn't have that experience before, I looked at it and said, some of this is very social. Like this drug, apparently, for as dumb as it makes you, and as confused as it makes you, it seems to be a very social experience. I know Fred pops them alone sometimes, but they're always hanging out. They're all spending time together. They're all connected. And, that wasn't my experience. Drugs do bring people together in a lot of ways, even if they're not addicted, even if it's just a fun, carefree, drugs can be fun, folks. They can be in limited doses. And you can have a good night with drugs as long as you know what you're doing. You really can. So just remember that. But it's a social thing. There it is. More you know. But I guess it seemed like these were antisocial people, but they were being social. That's kind of a weird dynamic. It's contradictory in a way now that I look at it. Does that matter? No, maybe it doesn't. In the end, I love Linklater. I love all the people in this movie. And the story is one that I would like to know more about. If anything, the movie makes me want to read the story even more now at my current age. So I guess that says something about the film. It can't meet all expectations. It can't meet the needs. In the end, I think in 2024, A Scanner Darkly, rotoscope aside, doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I think it holds up because it's, again, a thought-provoking film that creates questions for us to ponder and consider and talk about. Even if the movie itself doesn't bother to take you in that direction all the time.
All right. You used this phrase earlier. You referred to the drudgery of drug addiction. And that's what a lot of the movie felt like to me. It felt like you're spending time in the drudgery of it, not the fun part. They make that very clear in the beginning. Like this is the paranoid, shitty part. This is the confusing, spiraling out part. And that's anxiety inducing, which is intended. That's partly what all the ranting and raving is about. All these scenes is like, it's, contributing to the sense of disillusionment and, coming off the rails. Does that make for an interesting movie to watch? I mean, the ending, like I said, is satisfying. You got strong actors here, but you can't always see their facial expressions very well, which is a problem when you have actors. Mostly this felt like a lot of work, and I was grateful when it was over, which is not a good sign for a film. And I was like, well, I guess that's why I didn't return to it in the past 15 years or whatever. Like I enjoyed it on the first watch, but I'm going to say it doesn't quite hold up. It's not terrible. I didn't hate it. I wasn't like that excited when it was over because I was like, oh, cause again, that they stuck the landing and I thought that ending was pretty good. But yeah, there's just too much filler. There's too much filler. I would bet this is a short story, not a novel length. Because it seemed like there's a lot of fucking filler here, and yeah, didn't really would do it for me.
There it is, denied. All right. Well, Eric, how did he feel? Maybe we'll find out next week when he returns to the show, hopefully. But next week we will have a guest on, and it's Chud Pud, good old pal Aaron. We're very much looking forward to having him on.
Hell yeah!
It's been a while, and he has selected a movie a little bit more modern from 2018. One of our newer films, the newest films maybe we've done with our 5-year buffer zone always in place. And it is called Blind Spotting. So we'll be doing Blind Spotting next week on the show with our pal Chud Pud Aaron.
I know I've heard of this movie. It's like gay lifestyle stuff, right?
Nope.
I don't know. I guess I'll find out.
You may have seen it, and maybe it's a vague kind of title. So I have seen it. I know that. I think he actually recommended it to me when it came out back.
Oh God, yes, over and over again. That's right. Yes.
Oh, there it
That's
is.
why I've heard of it. Yes. Okay. He's making us watch it. Like I recommended this movie to you years ago. You fuckers didn't watch it. I'm going to make you watch it. That's what's happening right now. All right. Cool. All right. You got us, Aaron.
Yeah. All right. Great gift, Dad. So that's what we'll do next week. Blind Spotting. Find it anywhere. I'm sure you can. It's a newer movie, so I'm sure it streams easily. And that's what we'll do next week on the Cinema 9 podcast. cinema9pod@gmail.com. Send us an email about today's show. You disagree, you agree. We get it wrong, get it right, blah, blah, blah. We don't care. Just send us something. Anything. Please. And that's it for Travis. I'm Mike. This has been an enjoyable episode of the Cinema 9 podcast, and we bid you adieu.
I like air.
This is a world getting progressively worse. Can we not agree on that?